In this video, we are at the Nissan Leaf specialist, Kinghorn Electric Vehicles. Not only do they specialise in Leafs, they specialise in servicing, sales, EV conversions, and much, much more. I'm in Durham today. That's why I'm wearing a jumper in the summer. Woo. Let's get into it. So here she is. She's a beaut, isn't she? That is amazing. Here we are with George from Kinghorn Electric Vehicles, stood in front of what is an amazing conversion from what I can see. George, you know, where do we start? What was the beginning of all of this?
So this all came out of me having my first electric car, which was a 2016 Nissan Leaf. And I've always been into classic cars and drag racing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And after driving the Leaf for a while, I fell in love with the electric propulsion, but I thought it was a little bit bland externally and looks-wise. So I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could take everything out of a Nissan Leaf and put it into a classic car? So I went out and bought a Morris Minor. This was in 2019.
Yeah.
I think there's one.
Yeah, I can see one up there.
Yeah, that is my next one, but not the first one that we did. And then went about figuring out how to take everything out of a Nissan Leaf to put into the Morris Minor. So this is a Nissan Leaf motor stack, so motor, inverter and power delivery module, which has the charger and the DC-DC converter in there. And then we've developed a system over the last few years, actually two different systems that allow us to take the Nissan Leaf drivetrain and reuse it in different conversions. So we've done 3 Morris Minors, we've got another one to do soon and the one that's up on the shelf. Yeah. And we've got the Scimitar, we've done a Mercedes. So they all have in common is the Nissan Leaf motor and inverter, and most of them batteries, but then the Mercedes we've just done has Tesla battery modules. We're working on other conversions with different motors and batteries, but our bread and butter and expertise is in the Nissan Leaf. Yeah,
yes, because at your centre you don't just do the EV conversions. What's going on with that Nissan Leaf over there?
So that one's a PTC replacement, so the heaters stopped working on it. It's an early Nissan Leaf, the Japanese
2011, 2012?
Yep, 2011.
We'll go and have a look at that.
And with those ones, they have a water-based PTC heater.
Right.
The later ones, 2013 onwards, have a air-based PTC, resistive ones.
I'm learning. I know that there are differences between motor and obviously interior tends to be black instead of the cream, but see, I'm definitely learning stuff today, that's for sure. So you do the service and repair on the Nissan Leaf as a specialist in that. Yeah. What else do you do with the Nissan Leafs? Because you do quite a bit with them.
Yeah. So we do battery swaps. So we can upgrade batteries, especially 40 kilowatt hours. We've got quite a lot of brand new 40 kilowatt hour modules that have just come into stock.
And what are they new because they're in boxes, or what's
so they're all brand new, just new old stock battery modules. Right. One of the big advantages that we've got is we're only 13 miles away from the Nissan factory in Sunderland. Yes. So getting hold of the parts is quite easy for us. You can see a used Nissan Leaf 40 kilowatt hour battery pack there, just open, ready to. That's going to be the donor battery for the Jaguar. But what we're actually going to do is replace all the modules in it with brand new modules, so then we have a brand new battery pack to put in, either to convert a 24 or 30 kilowatt hour car to 40, or just do a full pack swap. Yeah, because I think we're going to go and have a look at it in a second, but you've got is it 130,000 mile Mark II, as I would call it, facelift, Nissan Leaf with a brand new pack in it, is that right? Yeah, so I bought it for my wife, actually. We needed a car for her to run around in. And it was I think it's got 137,000 miles. Wow. 40 kilowatt hour second generation Leaf. Yeah. And the batteries had been rapid charged 1,700 times, and I think that was like kind of continually every day. Yes. So what was the battery? What state of health was it, and what was the condition of the battery? Was it fairly swollen? Well, weirdly, the state of health was something like 82%. Oh, wow. But what the problem is, once with Leaf batteries, once they get down to about 50% state of charge and you accelerate, the voltages, the internal resistances, aren't aligned, and the range just drops off massively. So you might
so they're not balanced, essentially.
they're just not balanced properly.
Yeah, because that was something that we looked at the balancing of the cells on my Tesla, which are really, really close and really, really tight. But obviously, the Nissan Leaf's well known for having issues because of its lack of cooling on the batteries. Okay, so and something that you mentioned, Sunderland having the support closely from them, and something that I didn't realise, and I did see at a show probably a couple of years ago, Fully Charged Live South, that you do you did the Nissan Bluebird. I mean, how did that come about?
It was just a very strange phone call. So one day I picked up the phone and it's, "Hi, this is Nissan GB. We'd like you to do a conversion of a Nissan Bluebird to celebrate the Bluebird's 30th anniversary of being made in the UK.
Yeah.
Do an EV conversion using Nissan Leaf parts, and we understand that's what you do." I said, "Yeah, we do, but you're Nissan, surely you can do that yourself?" And they're like, "Well, we specialise in making millions of cars, not one-offs." So they came to us for our knowledge and expertise, and also the fact that they only had a tight window of about 12 weeks to turn the car around. So
oh wow, you managed to do it in that time?
Yeah, we managed to do it because it had to be at the factory at a certain time for a certain event and a press launch. So.
Yeah, what was the event? I can't remember because it was on Johnny Smith's Late Break Show channel, which I promote way too much on my own channel. But yeah, it was great to see. But yeah, what was it? It was an anniversary, wasn't it? Yeah,
so it had to be done before the end. So we finished it in December because that was the year that it was 30 years.
Yeah.
So if it had slipped into January, it would have been 31 and not as memorable as being a 30-year anniversary. So yeah. We had a bit of a fight to get that one completed.
I thought we'd come outside so we could have a look at the high mileage Nissan Leaf in person.
Oh, look.
It was a taxi. Well, there we go, yeah. Tell us a bit more about the car and what the conversion of the battery swap involved and what the plans for it.
So we're telling you before the battery had been abused a little. So when we actually opened it up, we found that it had been rapid charged so much that the batteries had actually started leaking. Ooh. So we had to take out all the old modules, clean up the battery case, and then we put brand new modules in. So it's gone from a car that it wouldn't actually drive. It was because it had a leak, a voltage leak. So it wouldn't actually go into drive and manoeuvre around. So we put the new modules in, put the battery pack back together, put it in, and then we've basically just done the suspension servicing. So we've put, I think, a shock absorber on this side, drop links, anti-roll bar bushes, which had gone oval. So it was functional but rattly. So we've tightened all of that up, and now it drives like it did when it came out of the showroom.
So does it need to have, could you literally just put another battery pack in, or is there any software that needs upgrading?
We reset the charge counters on the battery management system, and then it takes a little while for it to kind of learn. So at the moment, it's showing 120 mile range, which really it should be showing 140. You
got the keys, so we can have a look. Just prove the mileage for people. Now that's one way of getting rid of the wind. There we go. Nearly 137,000 miles actually.
Probably go off in, yeah.
137. There we go. So one thing I don't know about these cars, I'm not sure if this is useful for people, but how do you check the battery health on a new shape? Because it's quite obvious because the Mark 1s have it on there. But how easy is it to do on the new one?
So it is actually in the menu, but it's fairly unreliable.
Okay.
Reasons that I say it's fairly unreliable is that it generally shows 12 bars. Oh, the battery capacity on this is actually, because we haven't reset that. So you can see that's what it was originally.
Okay.
So we need to go into the software and reset that back to the full 12 bars. But it's within the battery charging menu.
So I'm going to stay behind the red and white line because obviously I haven't got the qualifications, the IMI accreditations like you guys. So so yeah, so this is obviously the Nissan Leaf with the heater issue. Can you tell us a bit more, George?
Yeah, so this is a water-based PTC heater. So you can see it's got a high voltage input, so it takes a 300 to 400 volt input from the high voltage battery.
Yep.
And then it has an electrical element inside, and then has a water flow through it. So on these cars, this is actually positioned right underneath the battery. And what we find
Am I
is
okay to pass this line? I take it I am.
yes, you can.
Good man, good man.
I'll let you. I'll grant you permission because nothing's live. We haven't dismantled anything yet.
Good stuff. Just want to double check, you know, safety first.
So that's tucked right under. This is tucked right under the 12-volt battery. So we have a bit of a job getting to it. But then the biggest challenge in this job is when these stop working, they blow a fuse in the system.
Yeah.
But that fuse is actually in that unit there.
Oh wow.
So
okay.
we have to take the whole scuttle panel off and basically take the top end of the electric motor apart to get to what is a 1-inch fuse to replace the fuse to get it to work again.
So how many hour job is that?
It's about a 10-hour job to strip everything down, put it back together again, and then get everything running and make sure it's all bled properly. So
from a dealer, if depending on how much the part is, that could potentially be an economical write-off for something like this.
It could be. I mean, it's £700 in labour. I think the part was about £500 plus the VAT.
Yeah. So obviously a dealer's going to be what, £140 an hour plus a new part. Yeah. It'd be a hell of a difference. Yeah. So you know, this is where specialists like yourself can really help keep what is essentially a healthy car, EV, on the road. Yeah, I mean, the car will last forever. It's just one of this and also the air-based PTC and the later Leaves do fail. The air-based one's a little bit easier to do. It's inside the car, but you have to actually disconnect the steering column on the right-hand drive ones. Right. Left-hand drive ones, PTC replacement's dead easy because it's in the passenger footwell for them. But we have to kind of disconnect the steering column, pull out the old PTC and put the new one in. Right. So yeah, it's stuff that we've done before and we've got plenty of experience in. And this leads on quite nicely because if something is an economical write-off, for example, or you know the battery, you know the customer doesn't want to do a battery swap on it, which is what you guys do as well, or you know something doesn't make it worthwhile. You know, there's so many parts on this car that can be reused, and that kind of slips us nicely into you know the conversions like the Jag here. Can you tell us more about what's happening with the this wonderful Jag? Yeah, so this is, rag. Again, a full Nissan Leaf system. Yep. So this is going to have half of its batteries in the boot, which I think we've got we've got a kind of a wooden form that we use. We do a lot of CAD design, but then we like to sense check it in the real world. Yep. So that's where 12 of the battery modules are going to go. And then they'll be on bonded mounts because we have to comply with the DVLA's no welding, cut and drilling rules. Absolutely. So those will be bonded in using specialist adhesives. And the battery pack will sit there, and it's nice weight distribution because it's above the rear axle. Okay. Instead of it being hanging out the back of the car. Nothing will change on the inside. We'll repurpose existing switchgear for the forward, neutral, and reverse. Okay. It's keeping its original gearbox, so we have an adapter plate that goes between the gearbox and the motor, there's no clutch in it. So you can kind of see down there that lovely shiny billet aluminium. Oh yeah, that's pretty. The first one we produced of that, my son and myself loved it that much. We put it on the dinner table for 2 weeks. That's an enthusiast right there. Yeah. Oh no, you know, you don't have a coffee table made out of an engine block, but of an adaptive plate. You know. Yeah. So in terms of the dials, do you repurpose the dials? How do you get show the range for customers? What's that process look like? It very much depends what the customer wants us to do. All of the vehicles are commissioned by customers, and we work with them to exactly what they want to do. Yeah. In this build, the state of charge gauge will be the old fuel gauge. So that'll show that. Cool. We don't have a gasometer in the conversions. You kind of have to, you get used to the car and you know how many miles it's going to do. Yeah. So if this car should be kind of 130, 140 mile car range. So you'll know that 50% state of charge, you've got around about 70 miles of range left on it. We spend a lot of time making it look like we've done nothing to the car. So if it didn't have its green flashes on its number plates, you wouldn't know it was an EV. No. So little things like the charge ports are going in the fuel filler pants. And will that be CHAdeMO, I take it? Yeah, so it's got CHAdeMO and Type 2, but then we've had to 3D print so this is the Type 2 one. We've designed and created this 3D mount that actually fits in there. You can see it's the shape of the actual recess, and then we've made it so it's threaded, so that we have a plastic nut that goes on the bottom. Okay. So then there's no cutting, welding or drilling, and then that'll sit in there, and you'll be able to just put your Type 2 charger in this side, and then you'll have your CHAdeMO on the other side. Do they work with that new CHAdeMO adapter, which seems to be becoming more popular now? Is that something that's been tested on any of them yet?
The Scimitar will be the first car that we've done with CHAdeMO since the adapters have become widely available.
Okay.
So we'll test that on this one, because these are both using the same controller.
Right.
That uses the vast majority of the Leaf components. Some Leaf-based conversions we use a controller that only uses the motor and inverter, but that has a lot more programmability into it. This one is good in the fact that it uses all of the Leaf components, but we're kind of stuck with the settings that come from the factory, because we use the battery management system from the Leaf.
So what's going on with this motor? Because you know, bear in mind it's kind of TVR-esque in terms of the body, isn't it?
Yeah. So fiberglass. That's the same. You'll be very familiar with that.
Oh yeah.
So this is a metal frame with a fiberglass body on it.
Yeah.
So this one's a project that's been in the making for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Again, complete Nissan Leaf powertrain.
Right.
So the customer actually had bought a Nissan Leaf and bought this car to be EV, so he only drove it once as a petrol car.
That sounds very similar to my situation, actually.
And then decided, he's a very engineering-based chap, so he decided that he wanted to take the live rear axle out of the back of it and put the electric motor in the place of the live rear axle and have the batteries up front.
Yeah.
So that's what we've done. The motor and inverter are actually under the rear floor in this, in a custom-made cradle with custom suspension and everything. Yeah. And then the battery box, which the guys are just working on the final touches in the background, is going in the front.
George, there just happens to be a light down here, so
who put that
might as well take advantage of that. So yeah, take me through the actual layout up here then.
So you've got, what you can see at the back is the inverter. So that takes the DC power input from the battery, turns it into AC and passes it to the motor. So those are divorced in this. They're normally on top of each other in the Leaf. And then that's married to the original Leaf transmission, which has custom-made drive shafts out to the custom hubs that have been put on the rear wheels. So it's quite a bit of, and we didn't do that engineering, that was done by a third-party company.
And will they have a plate to cover the HV cables? How would that work?
Yeah, so just to give it a bit extra, safety, we'll put a skid plate under there. But we haven't done that as yet, just while we're finishing off the final installation.
Another thing that you do, George, which, you know, bear in mind you have a plethora of things that you do with the Leaf in terms of conversions, in terms of battery swaps, in terms of servicing, and servicing general EVs as well.
Yeah, we do all makes and models of EVs. Don't do any petrol cars. My sons keep on sneaking in their four-wheel drives, which is the only thing that gets oil on the floor.
Oh dear, oh dear.
But apart from that,
you guys are HEVRA approved as well?
Yeah. So we're members of the HEVRA organisation. We've only ever really done servicing for our own used car customers, because we sell and source used EVs for people as well.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, because I did see the MG5 in the background there. So what do you do in terms of the sales side?
So at the moment, because we've moved in the last year, we moved to smaller premises to focus, to get the conversion business back up and running. We had kind of 9 months where we were fighting with the DVLA that much. The business was on its knees the back end of last year, so we restructured, moved from a much bigger premises to smaller ones, righted the ship, got the conversions back on track again now that we're through the whole DVLA re-registration process. Yeah. So we used to stock kind of 6 to 8 used EVs. Now we source them to order, so customers come to us and say, right, I want to buy this kind of car, or this is the range I need to do. We'll go and find them at auction. So an older customer of ours asked us to find a Kia e-Niro, and they had the MG5. And what we said was, look, if you want to get the e-Niro, we'll sell the MG5 for you. So we've actually got a customer coming later on today to buy the MG5. So.
Oh, cool. So like a commission sale, if you like, but you also source from the auction people. I might have to come and find you later in the year for that one, that's for sure. Okay. I was just set to leave, and I've actually plugged in my trickle charger, which is probably the second time I've used it in 2.5 years on the Tesla. I always have it with me just in case. I've just found out that George has got solar panels on the roof. So I've actually been charging from the sun, wherever it is around here. Anyway, I better shoot off. Long charge and long drive home, 4 hours. So that's 8-hour drive in one day in a 108,000 mile Tesla. Who'd have thought of it? Thanks for watching. See you next time.